I'm Deanna Joy Lyons.
I'm Rich Lyons.
We are Living After Faith.
And guess who we've got with us?
We are the luckiest people in the world. We've got Shelley Segal hanging out with us in our bedroom.
Hi, Shelley.
Hey, guys.
It's awesome to have you. You were one of our early guests, and I like to tell this story. When I first met Shelley, we were in Washington, D.C. at the Reason Rally, and the whole plane ride over there, she had just dropped the Atheist album, and the whole ride over there, I had it in my Zune. Yes, I still have the Zune. I had it in my Zune, and I listened, like I just binged listened to the Atheist album the whole flight to D.C., and was just thinking how awesome it was. Well, I didn't get to see Shelley perform because we were working a table at the time. And after the Reason Rally, we're in a bar and just talking to different people. And Shelley looks at me and said, just introduce, hi, I'm Shelley. And for hi, Shelley, and then all of a sudden I just lost my shit because I'm like, oh my God, it's our goddess. So
it's the Shelley.
Yes, it wasn't just a Shelley, it was the Shelley.
Oh, that was such a fun weekend too. Despite the mugginess, we got to see so many fabulous people and meet so many people in person.
Yeah.
And we got to forge so many friendships. I miss the Reason Rally. That was
a lot of fun.
So that was like 4 years ago now, and we're still friends. And you hang out, and
that's the whole thing. We are relaunching today, and what we're doing, I'm not going to set a schedule, but we're going to start by revisiting some of the people we talked to before. Some of the interviews we talked to people who are struggling tremendously to get out of their religious bondage. Some people, if you've listened to, you know. So we're going to see where people are today and what they're doing today, and work in a little bit of a different direction, but I think you're going to like it. So, Shelley, catch us up. You're in the U.S.
Yeah, I just moved to Los Angeles a couple of months ago, so we're neighbors.
Yay!
And I'm going to be able to tour here, a lot more easily and more often. So that's really great. Since I spoke to you back in 2012, that was my first album, an Atheist album, and since then I've released a further 3 projects, actually 4 projects, and have a new one coming out later this year. So I've been very busy musically. That's nice. And
you're a big-time producer of your own label now, too.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. Just the thing that I do every day. So I started a record company with my dad back home in Australia, and we've been working with other artists. We have artists that we manage and work with and help them to, do what I'm doing and make their music and get it out there and connect with people, and also run True Music Publishing, so representing other people's musical works and finding opportunities for artists and to help them, find out what they can do with their music. Because a lot of the time, you spend all your life getting good at making music, and then you're like, well, I don't know how to make money out of this. It's really hard to know what the next step is or what the business side of thing is. So I'm really excited to be able to offer that to other artists.
Yeah, and the music industry right now is so weird in that it's not the way it used to be, Used to be a bunch of folks would get together, play in the garage until they got to sounding good, and then they'd get a gig and land a record contract, and then it's on the radio, and, it's a different process now. Kind of describe how you help and how do you negotiate that?
Yeah, it's totally different. What's really interesting about it is I think it's more democratized now. So in the past, as bands would have had to rely on a record contract, and that was like the gateway, and so that was what everyone's aiming towards to get a record contract. But now the tools that are available to artists to get their music out there, from making a home recording on your computer at home, creating your own website as a means to share your music with people, putting your music up on YouTube, being able to use social media to connect with people that are fans of the music that you're similar to. And just actually distribute yourself. There are independent distributors who kind of negotiate with the bigger distributors like iTunes. So if I was an artist and I wanted to share my music on iTunes, sell my music on iTunes, I couldn't do that because you need to have like a discography of about 30 records, I think, to deal with iTunes. So they don't deal individually. So they have these things called aggregate distributors, and they'll kind of work with independent artists and provide that to iTunes, and they they help you navigate getting the music into all the stores. So there's a lot of do-it-yourself options, which is I think really exciting. And for me, I've been doing that now for a good solid 6 years. So I kind of learnt, how to navigate all that stuff and built relationships with distributors and people in the industry that can help you find opportunities for your music.
That is fantastic. And there's an artist that you are working on, like her first release right now. And, we really loved this song. Tell us about Sinner.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Maya, she's an amazing young lady. She's 21 and she's got a huge voice and so much energy, and all she wants to do is heal people with music and give people the energy and the joy that she feels from music. She wants to give that to other people, and we've been working with her for a while now in development, and this is her first big single, and we're involved with her the whole way, all the decision making, like what does the artwork look like? What is the video clip going to be like? What are the photos going to look like? What's she going to be wearing? She's in control as an artist, of every part of it, which is really exciting, because I think it can be hard if you're an artist, you're trying to find your sound, and then all these other things you're kind of not in control of. So I think that helps, and she really knows what she wants. She's a strong artist, and so we just released her first video clip and song. The other night I was hanging out with the Ask an Atheist crowd, and they debuted the track on radio for the first time in Australia. So we streamed it all together, and we were listening and texting in. So that was really fun. And she's in the middle of a press campaign, so she's doing interviews. She's answering questions for blogs and just exposing herself and her aesthetic to the Australian music industry.
That is so cool, because you get to help her independently present herself, instead of if she had like a traditional record contract, they would say, this is what you're going to wear and this is what your cover artwork is going to look like. And instead she gets to be herself and run everything with your help, with her own ideas and her own input.
Yeah, that's the goal for sure. It's hard to know, because I haven't been in that situation of how much control artists in those traditional deals had, because we love the artists from those times, and we like to think that they had that kind of say in control, and probably a lot of them did, but maybe not at the start, or it's hard to know, but at least I know that's something that we can provide.
Yeah, like a Beyonce, we can assume is probably a lot more in control of her own label and her own image and all of that, but when Beyonce first started out, I'm sure none of that was in her hands. So this gives artists the opportunity to have control over everything and run things from the very beginning, and that's amazing.
I think it's really exciting, and I think what I was saying before, because of those tools that are available, even if you don't have the backing of a label, you can still kind of create all that stuff yourself and put it out yourself, and then find the right people to build the rest of your team just by researching online and sending the tools online. Before, you would have to go and get a CD in someone's hand, or or I met someone else. I met Max Merritt's tour manager. He's he's a star from I think the 70s and 80s. He was really big, and he's a New Zealand singer. And his manager was telling us that when they used to tour, he would have to go and do the tour first. He would go to every venue that they would play and make the relationship and work out, how the show was going to be and do all that legwork. I booked my tours on my butt, sitting at my computer talking to everyone, calling from Skype, just sending emails, sending all the links to my stuff. So it's completely different world.
I'm going to date myself here. I might not like take myself on a date, but I'll do that later. But my background in radio, one hot summer afternoon, a couple of hippies show up at the radio station in a van, and they've got a big dog. And they come and they want us to listen to their record and everything. And that was when I met Captain and Tennille. But that was how they literally drove town to town with a van and records, going to radio stations, asking them to play their record. And that was how they got on the radio. And what a different world.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny because they were practicing that do-it-yourself aesthetic, only it was so much harder because they didn't have the tools.
It was a van instead of the internet.
It was a van instead of an email or, yeah. And then eventually that tactic got them noticed and got them, a record contract. But, it's just amazing how much you can reach people worldwide. I mean, I guess we're doing that right now.
Yeah, well, that's how we knew each other. I was in Australia when I released that record.
Yeah. And just by sitting around and using the internet and using our brains and our technological know-how, we are reaching thousands and thousands of people. It's a whole new world, and I'm so excited to be living in the future. I feel like I'm on the Jetsons, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell us about a typical, and there's not, but tell us a typical day in the life of Shelley Segal these days.
Oh my gosh.
You wake up in Los Angeles, what do you do?
Well, I just started this new thing. Someone recommended a book called The Artist's Way, and I didn't read it, but I heard there was an exercise from it that's really useful where you as soon as you wake up, you write. You just start writing and you force yourself to write. And so I've been doing that the last couple of months, and it's been amazing. It's really changed the way that I'm writing. I think it's because you're really practicing and putting in the time of putting your ideas to pen and paper. Mm-hmm. And so that when you do get a spark of a song, it's just comes out so much more easily because you've really you've been practicing every day that putting the idea down. Mm-hmm. So I do that, and then do some exercise, and then start with the business admin stuff, unless, I have it. It's not really set timing, but I'll usually do, the label stuff and the management stuff for myself and other artists and the company. And sometimes have meetings or catch up with my manager and we go over stuff and book tours and print flyers and send off promotional materials and send out CDs. And I remember I sent a CD to somebody once, and I usually write on the back of them, I say thanks for the support and put a little, cross, whatever. And someone wrote back, I can't believe you wrote on the CD, you delivered it. I thought it's like, automatic convey, factory sending out all my CDs. I was like, no, it's just, just me. Sometimes my mum sends them out from back home in Melbourne, and it's good. Hopefully it gets to the point where I can't send them out personally anymore, but in the meantime, so do that. And
I think we have a lot of postcards. I've been cleaning out our apartment, and I keep finding Shelley postcards that are like, hey, see you guys soon, and it's for every show that you've done here. And it's like, it's so sweet to have that personal touch, and I've kept them all.
Oh, thanks, Tiana. Yeah, it's really nice to feel connected in that way and stay in touch, and then it's like you're going to play for friends. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but continue.
Oh no. And then practice songwriting, a show, that kind of stuff. That generally tends to be my day. And then quite often I'll get an idea for a song at 6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, midnight, and then I'm up all night. I'm up all night trying to finish it. So, and then, another day will be in the studio. So, just recording or writing all day. Those are pretty good days. Other days when I'm on the road will be, get up, go to a new town, get ready for the show, go play the show, hang out with everyone after the show, go home, go to the next place. Yeah. So
sounds like you're hating it.
Oh yeah, it sucks. Yesterday, Dan Lombardo took me out to Edmonds, and we went out into the water. We went kayaking and crab hunting, and it was terrible. It was just awful.
Yeah, that was a beautiful day too.
It was really nice.
I think tonight we're also the Perseids meteor shower is supposed to peak tonight, and we have perfect clear weather, so we're going to find a dark spot to scoot off and watch the sparklies fall out of the sky.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about what you're doing tomorrow. I know you're leaving us, and that makes me sad, but you're leaving for a good reason.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to be going to Camp Quest, and I'm going to be a cabin counselor. And I'm really, really excited about it. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to, spend time working with kids. And so for anyone that doesn't know, Camp Quest is a non-religious alternative. It's a summer camp for kids, and it's really, really beautiful, creative, passionate, enthusiastic volunteers who want to run programs for kids. They teach them about science and critical thinking, and they have music and activities, and yeah, I can't wait.
I wish we'd had that when I was a kid. I had to go to the local Methodist church summer camp, and every morning they would wake you up at like 7 a.m. And before you had breakfast, you had to go and sit in the little church area. No, it was outdoors, so that was nice. You're sitting on like old logs in the forest, and the pastor is standing up front. But you couldn't get breakfast until after the church service.
Whoa.
So you just woke up and you're hungry and grumpy and sleepy, and you have to listen to them talk about Jesus for a while before you can eat. You're like, yeah. Camp Quest sounds a lot better.
Yeah, well, I had to I didn't go. Oh no, I did go to summer camps. I'm crazy. But I was part of a Jewish youth group called Habonim Dror, and it was a Jewish Zionist socialist youth group. Mm-hmm. And I would go to camps and do same thing, programs, activities, but with a big focus on Israel and a bit on Judaism as well. And then as I got older, I did the leadership program, and I took kids on a summer camp. And so I'm kind of excited to undo that damage in a way. Yeah. I really enjoyed that camp that I took when I was younger, and the kids were beautiful, and that kind of relationship is really, really cool and inspiring. But I'm excited to be able to inspire kids about something that I feel passionately about, which is critical thinking and having fun.
Yeah.
And you do both very well. Now, you've got this guitar in front of you. Would you mind having a song with us?
I would love to.
Sharing a song?
I would love to share a song. Any requests? Or
I got to tell you, I am in love with Sidelined.
Oh, really?
I mean, Eve has always been my favorite song, but I think Sidelined is, I know that's your hit right now, and if you don't want to put it out on
No, that's great. That's great.
That song just really, play it.
Thanks. Okay, cool. Good choice. So this song is from my latest release, Strange Feeling. And I wrote this song after a romantic liaison that was not very romantic. Because the guy that I was with wanted me to change the way that I looked for him. And to me, that meant that person was not the right person for me. But it definitely affected me and gave me, a chance to reflect on ideas about body image. How do I feel about body image? How did it make me feel, what this person was saying to me? And also on like aesthetics and aesthetic expectations, because I couldn't be entirely upset with this person because they were being honest with me about how they felt. And we are very visual creatures. A lot of the time with discussions on body image, people like to say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's what's inside that counts. And I wish that was true, and that resonates with me. I think it's a beautiful sentiment, and it should be true. But I don't think that in reality that is the truth. I think it's undeniable that the way that we look will profoundly impact the outcomes of our lives. Yeah. And the extent to which we subscribe to what's expected of us, and the extent to which we reject and rebel against those expectations on us, that is going to affect our lives. That is going to affect the way that people react and respond to us. And so this song for me is really coming to terms with the fact that we are visual creatures, and that aesthetic expectation is there. But at the same time, questioning whether it's something we can overcome.
All right.
You want a skinny lover. You want a skinny lover. And so I find I have the wrong body. I have the wrong body. Even though I have the right mind. You want a skinny lover. You want a skinny lover, and it's perfectly fine. But it means you will always want some other body more than you want mine. More than you want mine. But this is familiar, it's who we've become. Slaves to aesthetic, this is the tune that we hum. Can we change who we are? Can we remove the filter from over our hearts? If you're not beautiful, you'll be sidelined. Can we let go of our pride, of how we look on the outside? Anyways, I thought love was supposed to be blind, be blind. You want a skinny lover. You want a skinny lover. So I find I have the wrong body, even though I am the perfect kind. But this is familiar, it's who we've become. Slaves to aesthetic, this is the tune that we hum. Can we change who we are? Can we remove the filter from over our hearts? If you're not beautiful, you'll be sidelined. Can we let go of our pride, of how we look on the outside? Anyways, I thought love was supposed to be blind, be blind. For the first time in my life, I wished I was somebody else. All those bottles of teenage self-consciousness come tumbling down from the shelf. But this is familiar, it's who we've become. Slaves to aesthetic, this is the tune. This is the tune that we hum. Can we change who we are? Can we remove the filter from over our hearts? If you're not beautiful, you'll be sidelined. Can we let go of our pride, of how we look on the outside? Anyways, I thought love was supposed to be blind, be blind, be blind.
I find that song so amazing because, okay, I'm the luckiest man in the world right now. I am sitting on a bed with Shelley Segal and Deanna Joy, my wife, and two beautiful women. And that song is powerful. That song, your first album was the Atheist album. You're still very active in the atheist community, but one of the things that I really wanted to do this episode with you is you've branched out in your activism. You're not just an atheist. You're not just but you are stepping into other areas, and kind of talk to that a little bit.
Sure. Well,
and the Atheist album also was active on activism in several areas, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I want to write about everything. I want to write about everything that I learn, and every time that I learn something new, I feel like I can put it into music, and it's wisdom, and it has something to say. And so I want to do that about so many different things. Like I was telling you just this week, I've been working with a local biologist to make some music about the animals in this area. I think if we can talk about, real life issues in music, then that is an amazing outlet to have a discussion about something that might otherwise be difficult to talk about, difficult to start a dialogue. Even that song, Sideline, I think people find it a bit confronting at first, because you're saying I am this archetype or whatever that is not the ideal, and so that's kind of bringing up all this stuff that usually we don't talk about, and I like that. I want to do that. It was the same with an Atheist album. What do they say? Don't talk about religion and politics, and that's all I want to talk about. They're interesting discussions, and we can have them, civilly.
Yeah, people I've heard say things like, "Oh, you're not fat, you're beautiful," and as though the two were mutually exclusive.
Yeah,
and so this song brings out kind of that, like, I am who I am, and you may think I'm beautiful in mind and in spirit. It's just the body that is not what you desire. But it's important that we get that out. Like, hey, I'm fat and I think I'm beautiful anyways.
Yeah.
And the two are different, and I love who I am, and I hope other people love who I am. And
that's beautiful. I
think we all kind of need to remind ourselves of that.
And to be able to love yourself, like, just because you don't fit an archetype, like a particular body type or any kind of aesthetic expectation, doesn't mean that you're not worthy of love or worthy of self-love, and doesn't mean that you're not beautiful, as you said. And this, writing this song actually made me consider other perspectives, because I'm talking about having the wrong body, and for me it's just like, okay, I'm not a size 6 model like I see on the television, but I think I'm still very, represented. I have 2 arms and 2 legs, and I'm a white girl, and the girls that I see represented in the media, the image of beautiful, I'm still closer to that than a lot of people. And why should that ideal, that message that we're getting of what is beautiful is a lie? Because it's not one skin color, it's not one body type, it's not just being able-bodied. There is a full spectrum of beautiful, powerful, inspiring, amazing women and men and everything in between, of people who deserve to feel loved and deserve to be represented and feel normal, because they are normal. But we have millions of dollars of marketing directed at us to tell us that we are abnormal and that we should hate and despise ourselves so that we can spend money on products to make us less disgusting.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story. It was a sci-fi story, and I think it was on the web somewhere, and I will try to remember it. and find a link. But the people of Earth discovered that aliens had come to visit us from another planet, and they wanted to speak with somebody who was representative of the average human. And everyone in America was like, well, obviously it's a white man, an older politician, a rich person, etc. And everybody in every country argued that, whatever their ideal at the time was going to be the average representation. And so to solve all the fighting, a bunch of scientists got together and put together a computer program or something that they found what really would be the average to represent the entire human race on the planet. And the person that they chose to represent everyone on the planet was a brown-skinned woman who was gay and had was missing an arm, and I think she had like autism, and she was she was not, everybody hated the choice because she was not whatever the ideal of beauty and all of that was from their country. But the computer insisted that this is average because she represents the interests of so many people, because she has all of these features that so many people have. So she is our best representative to send off to the aliens. And
yeah.
I can't remember exactly how it ended, so I won't spoil it. So yeah, that's good. But
a thing that I notice, I can't remember a time in my life feeling like I had the wrong body type. And in high school, I was a skinny kid, and now I'm, pushing 250, a big guy. But I've never felt pressure because I'm a guy. Mm-hmm. We don't have that same, and I think that it is something that needs to be talked about because so many, it's easy to be a guy and be oblivious to the fact that you're trying to push the whole world into a set standard of this is what's perfect, when the reality is, and I see the models and all this stuff too, and I'm an average guy, but that's not the body type I want. I understand some people do, but the reality is, if it wasn't just constantly shoved down our throats, and I think guys need to stand up too and say, hey, you know what? That's not the only body type that works. I mean, but I think it's one of those things. It needs to be discussed. Mm-hmm. It's like racism, and guys are the ones that need to wake up and say, "Hey, I'm buying into this. That's being sold to them too."
Yeah, and I think the guys are really subject to those pressures as well, and more and more you see advertising directed at beauty products for men and putting the pressure on men. I play this song, and a lot of guys, respond differently in it, but it reminds them of their own experience. It speaks to their experiences of having to be strong, and having to be muscular, and having, if we look at all of the images of men that are portrayed to us in the front of magazines, like that, they have a lot of those pressures too. Or one of my friends responded, he said, after he heard that song, he was like, I hate wearing a tie to work every day. Like, it makes me feel like I'm projecting this image that's not me, and I feel like I can't be myself. So I feel like, people are experiencing this I don't know, this dissonance towards how they feel they have to represent themselves aesthetically and who they really are inside. And there's so many different pressures and different reasons why you have to do that, for work, for school, for all different areas. One thing in particular that stood out to me when I was doing a photo shoot, I did a really nice photo shoot with a friend, and I was really happy with the results. Like, I thought I looked pretty smoking. And there was one shot of me, like, kind of just sitting on the ground in my little white dress and, my legs out. I looked really pretty, and I was showing my family. And my brother, he's like beautiful, beautiful kid. He loves, like, we're very, very close. We're best friends. We're arguing till 6 a.m. this morning. Very close. But he said, oh, you better, he looked at my leg. He said, oh, you better get that photoshopped. And I was like, what is it? And he was like, your leg. And he was showing, like, a little bit of cellulite on it, but not even, like,
I don't see anything.
Yeah, I'm showing my, like, I wouldn't have said, it just looks like a leg,
Right.
like there's some flesh on there, but it wasn't, like, looking bad. And even if I did have heaps of cellulite, it doesn't matter. The point is, like, that as a young man, even looking at his sister, who he's not sexualizing, sexualizing me.
Right.
He's just looking at an image of a woman, and his brain is like, that's wrong.
Right. Because he's not usually shown that.
No. It's like, you have to, he's like, you're trying to help me, It's like, you need to fix that image so that it's acceptable. Yeah. And I put the image up the way it was, and people wrote to me. It's like, thanks for putting this up without photoshopping. Like, thanks for being looking real. And it doesn't mean that if you don't have cellulite, you're a bad person, or you do have cellulite, you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that. It just means we need to be accepting of everybody's bodies, and that just because someone doesn't look a certain way doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be represented, or that that should be censored, and that actually it's probably healthy for us to have an understanding of what people really look like. My partner was telling me about this propaganda song that he really liked when he was younger, and one of the lyrics was like, I'm scared of my attraction to different body types. Oh. That a young man growing up, from all of the movies and imagery and pop culture, the message that he's receiving is like, this is what you're supposed to be attracted to. Right. So if you're attracted to something outside of that, is there something wrong with you?
Right. Wow. Wow. Yeah. So thank you guys all for joining us today. This has been so wonderful. It's so great to catch up. As Rich said, we're kind of taking Living After Faith in a new direction. And, we've always said that the show is about living after faith. And I think right where we're at is that we are focusing even more on the living part. So, once you've kind of recovered a little and you want to know where you're going and what you're going to do, that's kind of where we're looking at things. And, I'm hoping it can be a more positive and more learning kind of show where we can share our joys and our sorrows together. And thank you, Shelley, for joining us today. It was so nice to have you.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful to have you back. Yes,
it's really nice, and I think what you're talking about, the direction with the show is really interesting, and it's funny to go through that process of leaving and the trauma and challenge of that experience, and being totally obsessed with that new worldview, but then settling into it and finding new ways that even the difference between the reactions with your family or your faith now as opposed to 5 years ago or 10 years ago for people. I think that change and that growth is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean the leaving of your faith was so much fresher and so much, it was a raw, more painful experience for both you and Rich in the first show we did together. And so it's really cool to see how far we've come and how we've all changed and what we're doing now. So this is wonderful. And I'd like to make a request. So to finish this show off, I think with a positive note, we'll go with a song that makes us laugh, even though it reminds us of strong emotions. The Salamander song.
Thanks heaps, Deanna and Rich, and I love you guys so much, and I'm honored to be part of your show, and I'm glad that you're coming back.
We love you, and we're so happy that you're helping us come back. We can't do it alone.
So this song was inspired by a true story. I was working at the market selling socks, and opposite my stall there was a live fish stall, and they were selling fish as pets. And they had these salamanders. They're axolotls. They're like little eels with arms and legs. And one of them was really cute, so I thought I'll get a new friend. And I just had a really rough breakup the week before, so I thought this will be a great distraction. And I spent more than the money I made at the market, and I bought the tank and the rocks and the little plastic castle and the net and the worms and the water treatment and the water filter and the salamander himself. And I brought him home to my family, who I lived with at the time, and we gathered around the bag, we opened up the bag, and he was dead. And so I wrote this song for my dead salamander and my ex-boyfriend. And it's called The Salamander Song.
I dreamed of you last night, and then my salamander died. I wish that you had died instead. Then maybe I could start to forget, and I would have had a pretty cool pet. But now my salamander's dead. Would have named him after you. You both seem to have the same shit to do. Just sit around in your room watching your life go to waste. And just like you, he would have been a distraction to pacify me with my earning action. It feels like all my efforts being misplaced. You won't be eating fish again, and I'm not getting laid anymore. I wanted to bury him in the park, but I couldn't be fucked waiting for it to get dark. Had to do something soon before the smell settled in. It hurt that you weren't there to hold my hand. I guess not everything can go as planned. So I put him in a shoebox and I threw him in the bin. Oh, salamander, if we could only go back to before. 'Cause you've been left out in the trash, no one's putting me against the shower door. Maybe it's not in good taste to tell myself you are both easily replaced. But what else can I do to make myself feel better? Oh, salamander, maybe I should go and find myself a mouse. Or maybe I should tell my friends that I don't mind if they go and egg your house. When my salamander died, it reminded me how shit I feel inside about losing you. Yeah, when my salamander died, it reminded me how shit I feel inside about losing you. I wish that you had died instead.
Thank you for listening. We are living after faith.